Hey guys, my name is Faye and I'd like to welcome you back to another video on my channel, Crypto Phalians. Today we'll be talking about how to find and research NFT projects. In my previous videos, I've explained how to buy NFTs and what exactly they are, so if you still need some more information on that, be sure to check those out here. Today we'll be talking about finding and researching these projects. This will be a two-part video. In part one, I'll be explaining some terminology and then we'll get into finding and researching upcoming mints. In my next video, I'll be giving some examples and then I'll explain how to find and research existing projects. Then I'll be showing some more examples of that and then we'll get into the pros and cons between the two. I'd like to briefly mention that I am not a financial advisor and none of this is financial advice. I'm just a random purple-haired fairy letting you in on what she's learned about the human ways, so do your own research. I'd also like to mention that these are my personal tactics and what works best for me. These are not the only strategies out there to find and research NFTs, but I do hope that you can use this information and find the strategy that works best for you. With all of that out of the way, let's begin. Before we get too far into the strategy, there are a few concepts and definitions that I would like to explain that I will be tying in later. The first concept that I want to talk about today is minting. Minting is the process of turning a digital file into an NFT. The asset is then established on the blockchain and it then becomes an immutable asset. In most cases, a project will release a mint date, which is the date that the project will launch. The project will then go on sale, and anyone who purchases the mint will be the first owners of that project. Now, in some cases, NFTs are minted through user action. What do I mean by that? Well, for an example, if you were playing an NFT card game and you opened a pack of new cards, those cards would be minted to the blockchain. Another example would be if you bred two existing NFTs and created a new NFT, that NFT would automatically be minted to the blockchain. In some staking games, you can use the currency that you made through staking your existing NFT to mint additional NFTs. So we understand that minting an NFT is when that NFT is added to the blockchain. And that if you mint an NFT, you are the first owner of that NFT. The next two terms that I'm going to be talking about are whitelists and reveals. A whitelist refers to a group of individuals who have pre-sale access to a mint. Usually the whitelisted members of the community are able to mint the project anywhere from a few minutes to a few days ahead of public mint. A lot of the time, the whitelist price is also a little bit lower than the public mint price, but I have seen a lot of projects where it is the same. Now, why are whitelists so important, you may ask? Well, a lot of the time when a public mint launches, it sells out almost immediately. But if you're on the whitelist, you're pretty much guaranteed the opportunity to mint that project. Another reason that whitelists can be very important is if you're on the whitelist and you have some more time to mint, you don't really have to fight the gas wars. Some projects don't indulge in whitelists at all, and some other projects are whitelist only. The level of difficulty to get on the whitelist also tends to vary from project to project. Some examples that I've seen of ways to get on a whitelist are Twitter and Discord giveaways, and also being active in the Discord community. You can participate in art or music contests, and sometimes just being one of the first members in a Discord will get you a whitelist spot. If you want to get on a whitelist, the best way to do it is to be involved in the community. Community is a huge aspect when it comes to NFTs, so get involved, contribute, and in return, you will learn a lot about the project and the team behind it. Now finally, we're going to talk about a reveal. This isn't relevant to all NFT projects, but it is for a lot of them. A lot of the time, once you mint your NFT, you won't be able to see what it is right away. There will be a set reveal date, which will usually be between a day to a week after the public mint. On this day, you will be able to see what your NFT looks like and what traits it has. So now that we understand what a mint is, how do you go about buying a mint? The answer to this question tends to vary between projects. When you're planning on buying a mint, you should know the mint date and time, the mint price, and the official link to the minting platform. Usually you can find this information on a project's Twitter and Discord. If you don't have a Twitter and a Discord and you are planning on getting into the NFT space, make one now. Like seriously, you will need both a Twitter and a Discord. With that being said, please be careful about using any links on these platforms as there are tons of scammers out there in the NFT space, so make sure you use official links from the project. So getting back on track, there are a variety of different platforms that projects will use to mint their NFT on. A lot of projects will mint directly on their website, while some other projects will use platforms such as Magic Eden's Launchpad. Once you find the project that you want to mint, you'll want to find this information on their official Twitter, Discord, or website. You'll then connect your wallet to the platform that the project will be minting on. You select how many NFTs you wish to mint, and then you purchase your NFT. You will then be able to find your newly minted NFT in your wallet. While we're already on the subject of minting, the first kinds of projects that we're going to be talking about finding and researching are upcoming launches. Then we'll get into finding and researching existing projects, some examples of each, and the pros and cons between the two. So, how do you go about finding a project that hasn't launched yet, and how do you know that it'll be legit? Research, research, and research. But research on what exactly? Well, you remember I told you that there's two platforms that you absolutely need in the NFT space: Twitter and Discord. Twitter is your friend, Discord is your friend. Hashtags and influencers are your friend. So let's break that down. I highly recommend that you make a Twitter specifically for NFTs. You'll want to follow some of the larger influencers and projects in the space. There are a lot of times where support from a larger influencer or well-known project can cause a new project to be very successful. You won't want to follow anyone that just has NFT in their bio. Make sure it's credible resources and real people. Another way to utilize Twitter is through hashtags. You can simply search NFT and you will be greeted with dozens of new projects, but I find that it works better when you're looking for a specific type of NFT and use hashtags such as gaming NFT, Solana NFT, music NFT, or whatever specific category that you're looking for. Now let's talk about what to look for in a project's Twitter. Now remember that we're talking about upcoming projects, so what I would look for in an existing project is a little bit different. The first thing that I like to look for is the creator or creators behind the project. There are plenty of projects where the team behind it remains anonymous, but to reduce my risk, I like to see doxed teams. Doxed basically means that the creator puts their personal information out there for investors to see. If a team isn't doxed, there's nobody to really be held accountable if the project rug pulls, but there are plenty of projects out there that have been successful with anonymous teams. I just think that being doxed gives a good reason to have some accountability, and it's a little bit more secure of an investment. Some of the other things to look for are the website, Discord, roadmap, and overall interaction. These factors depend on how newly announced the project is or how close to mint it is. Some projects that have just been announced may not have these factors yet, and if that's the case, I add them to my watch list and come back to them later because I cannot make a decision on my investment until I have researched all of these factors. Let's talk about some of the things to look for in a website. The first thing that I look for when I check out a project's website is how much effort was put in to make it look professional. Then I look for the team, the FAQ, and the roadmap. A roadmap is basically like a business plan. When you read the roadmap, you should understand what a project plans on doing before and after launch. A project that only plans on minting art could definitely be successful, but I like to look for a project that is minting art with utility behind it. Some of the popular things that I see roadmaps include are things such as staking, access to alpha discords, or access to games, metaverses, and there's even an NFT that grants access to an island. What you look for in these roadmaps is totally up to you and your preferences. If there's a white paper released, you should definitely look into that too. A white paper is like a more in-depth version of a roadmap, and it basically explains how they're going to achieve their goals and allocate the funds to do so. A lot of projects don't release their white paper until after launch though. So let's talk about Twitter interaction, and then we'll move on to Discord. Once the project gets close to mint, we want to know that people are interested in the project. This may not matter as much to you if you're really confident in the project, but I like to buy projects that I'm confident will sell out at mint. So the first thing about interaction that I like to look for is that there's more followers on Twitter than there are available supply. What I mean by this is if a project is launching 10,000 NFTs, I like to see at least 20,000 followers. This isn't always relevant though, because those followers could totally be bots. Since I follow other successful people in the NFT space, I usually like to see a few of the people that I'm following also following the project. I also look at how much interaction the project's posts are getting and if the comments seem like they're real people. I also look for interaction by simply typing in the name of the project and seeing how many real people are talking about it. I look for the fan art, and I just look for basic community engagement by real people who are supporting the project and excited about the launch. Twitter research is really important, but Discord research is equally as important. I do want to mention that as soon as you start joining these groups, you will be getting lots of bots and scammers in your DMs, so make sure that you either close your DMs for the group or that you're just super careful. So the first thing that I look for when I join a Discord group is a verification process. Any efforts that the mods make to ban bots is seen as a huge positive in my eyes. The next thing that I like to look for is the member count. I apply the same rule as I do for Twitter, where the members should be about twice the supply. Now this only applies for projects that are really close to mint. It's absolutely great to be early on a project, so if it's still a few weeks away and it doesn't have that many members, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But if the project is only 3 days away from mint, and there's a 4-to-1 supply to member ratio, then that project probably won't sell out. You'll want to browse through the Discord and look at some things like the FAQ, the mint information, and the whitelist information. I like to go to the Discord for the mint date and where I can mint the project, but make sure that you're only using official links. I love to check out the sneak peeks that they offer, but it's really important to use Discord to gauge interaction. You can do this by going to the general chat and seeing how many real people are talking, but you can also do what I like to do, which is go through the fan art and the competitions, because I believe that if people are engaging in this way, that they're a little bit more dedicated to the project than just talking about it, because they're actively giving back to the community through art and participating in competitions, which means they're usually more dedicated to the project. I also like to see how many interactions the announcements are getting, and I like to see how much the team is interacting with their community in the Discord. A lot of these projects are really based around community, and the communities gather on Discord. Check out Discord, get involved in the community, because that's what's really going to tell you if this is the right project for you. I know it can be kind of intimidating to just jump in. I know that I've never been super great with group chats, but almost everybody that you're going to meet is super friendly, and most of these people are just looking for a way to better themselves and others. So one of the ways that I've talked about finding NFT projects is through who you follow on Twitter and utilizing hashtags. I veered off a little bit into how to research NFTs, so let's go back to finding these projects. Now that we've talked about joining some Discord groups, in some of these groups there is a channel called Shill. In these channels, you will find project creators, promoters, and community members sharing other projects' Discords, so this is always a great resource to check out. Another great resource is YouTubers, but you're already here, so I'm sure you've already figured that one out. I'll be posting videos specifically on upcoming projects, so make sure you subscribe if you want to stay tuned for those. I have two more ways of finding projects before we go into some examples to put everything I've said today into some perspective. So these two things are alpha groups and launchpads. An alpha group is usually a small, closed community of experienced NFT enthusiasts who share new and important information with each other and make calls on new or existing projects. If you're still starting out, you may not be quite ready for an alpha group yet, but it is most definitely something to keep in mind as you grow in this space and learn. So finally, some launchpads can be used as a resource to find upcoming projects. We're going to be using Magic Eden as an example of this. I briefly mentioned it in my last video, but this is a great resource, so it deserves getting mentioned again. So as we can see here, we've navigated to magiceden.io and we've gone to the Launchpad. Here we have the featured launch, which is currently live, and then we can see the upcoming launches. So if we go to one of these upcoming launches, we can see here the name of the collection, that the team is doxed, how long it will be in escrow, and the price, and then we have their website, Twitter, and Discord. So if we go down here, we can see a lot of information on the project. It includes the roadmap, the team, and a description of the project. This is a great resource, but I do recommend you continue to do some more research, although this is absolutely amazing that you can find all of this information right on the Launchpad. So before we move on to examples, there's one more piece of advice that I would like to give when minting projects. If you are planning on minting a project, pay attention to the pre-sale. Even if you are on the whitelist, pay attention to the pre-sale. Every time that I'm planning on minting a project, I check the supply, and then I check how many whitelist spots were given, and then I see how many tokens each whitelist spot can mint. For an example, if a project has a supply of 5,000 tokens, and there are 1,000 whitelist spots, and every whitelist spot has 2 tokens that they can mint, that is a total of 2,000 out of 5,000 tokens that can be minted during the pre-sale. Now, in most cases, the people on the whitelist work to be on the whitelist because they believe in the project and they want the chance to be one of the first ones to mint this project. So if there's only 100 mints out of the 2,000 possible mints on the pre-sale, there's a good chance that that project isn't going to sell out. Now, by no means is this always the case, but I feel like it's a really good indicator because the whitelisted members are usually the most active and engaged in the community, and they usually have believed in the project enough to earn their whitelist spot. I highly recommend watching a few projects mint that you don't plan to buy. Do all of the research as you would if you were buying it. Pay attention to the pre-sale and the sale, and write all of it down somewhere and use it to learn in the future. At the end of the day, everyone's going to have their own research methods and indicators, so take the time to research and find these. Keep records of everything that you learn, use it as educational material for you to learn, and use it to find your own way to go about this process. So now that I've explained a few different concepts between finding and researching upcoming NFT projects, I'm going to conclude part 1 of this video. Part 2 will begin with an example to put everything I've talked about so far into perspective. So if you're watching this early, make sure to subscribe, and once it's posted, it will be linked here. Thank you so much for watching part 1 with me, and I hope to see you in part 2. Much love, and see you guys soon.